Hello, I'm Dennis Holman, your host for this episode of the Andrew Richter Show. Now, on my right, your left, is Andrew Richter, the face you're all familiar with. And on my left, your right, is Ron Stoffel. Ron Stoffel has his own show that appears on the same station called The Numbers Guy.
That's right.
And he's sitting in here tonight to help us with some of the numbers related to light rail transit. And we're going to be discussing light rail transit in the metro area. But to start it off, we're going to bring it on home to the Bottineau corridor. And Andrew, what can you tell us about?
Okay, well, the Bottineau corridor, the northwest corridor, is what cuts through the northwest suburbs here on Northwest Community TV, northwest of Minneapolis. It's proposed to go through Robbinsdale, Crystal, Brooklyn Park, and then a couple alternatives, or have it going up to Osseo, have it going up Broadway past North Hennepin Community College. And recently they got done with what's called their scoping process, which is part of the, to get all the free money from the state and federal governments, they have to go through each step that we pay for. And right now, and you probably can't see this too well, you can go to bottineautransitway.org and download some of these maps. All the stuff in the bold here are the highlighted proposed routes. And what they're pushing is this D1, it's called a local preferred alternative. And
Preferred by who?
well, what they do is the city councils sign off on it, along with the county, the Met Council, all these government agencies. And they've all endorsed it except Golden Valley. And the D1 alternative, just to briefly explain what that would do, would go from downtown Minneapolis out through down 55, cut through Golden Valley, go up Crystal, then it would hit 81 right by the hospital, right by North Memorial. Then it would go up 81 until you got to Broadway, and it would veer toward North Hennepin Community College and end by the Target corporate campus.
Okay.
Which coincidentally is part of the Bottineau partnership, which must be a coincidence, I'm sure.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
I'm
the
sure.
Bottineau Boulevard.
And North Hennepin Community College is also a member of that partnership.
And so is the hospital as well, and Wells Fargo Bank.
Yep.
So
Well, then they got their money. With Wells
right.
Fargo, that's where they can go for their money, right?
That's right. So that's the thing. Golden Valley did vote it down 3-2 in June, or May or June. So there's another, the heat's going to be on them to conform to the rest of what all the other cities have done. Now, this is a ways still from happening. They don't have funding. They don't have funding from the state. They don't have anything from the feds. They don't. Southwest, which is not being done right now, would be ahead of it. They're several steps ahead in the process, but they don't have the money from the state of Minnesota either. So there is a while still before that we get opponents of this can try to make their opinions heard if they're going to be listened to, but I don't have much faith in that.
So they've got a plan, but they don't have the route determined. They don't have the money yet.
Well, they've got the route they want.
When you say they, you're talking about Met Council?
Met Council, the county, the Railroad Authority, all the County Transit Improvement Board, all of the third government parties, the Bottineau Partnership, along with the city councils, which makes it so hard to determine who's where.
Who's
because,
in control?
Yeah,
who's driving the train?
Well, I don't
Who's
know.
the conductor, right?
I don't know who's driving the train. But they do have proposed stations as well. If you go to bottineautransit.org, it will show they want a station right at 610, one at 93rd, one at 85th, one at 63rd, one at Bass Lake Road. All different. They have these different forms. They have a park and ride. They have ones where you can only walk up, so on and so forth. So I mean, it's a lot to plan, and if it's anything like the other rail lines that have happened. I don't think it's going to be too successful. What do you guys think?
Based on what I can see, if we've got the two that are in existence right now, we've got the Hiawatha line, which you can't tell if it's making what kind of subsidies are happening on that. You try to go to their website, and it's so commingled with the Metropolitan Transit Authority that's running it that you can't pull out what the buses are from the light rail, from the operations.
It's all under the Metro Transit banner,
right,
too.
which is part of the Met Council.
But we do know that the Hiawatha line is not paying for itself revenue-wise.
Right.
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 Operationally.
Operationally.
No.
And they didn't obviously pay for itself to build it either. We got other people's money, the feds, the state, the county, the railroad associations.
And keep in mind that the original cost estimates of the Hiawatha line, don't believe what you hear about what this is going to cost. The Hiawatha line was projected to cost about, I think it was $400 million. It ended up costing $715.
Right.
Now, and that's before we sold one ticket, before we did anything like that, before we hired one person. We had already $715 million. North Star went $50 million over their projected costs. So like the Botno project is projected in 2016 dollars to cost about $880 million, but you know, who knows if that's really accurate or not. If they want to add something or you know,
inflation comes into that they hadn't planned for, and it's and again back to the North Star line. I think that's been in the news the last couple of months, is that they are reducing fares to get more ridership, and that's being subsidized 2/3. So the riders are paying only 1/3 of the operating cost of that when you buy a ticket, and they can't get the money from the feds, I heard, to extend it up to St. Cloud, which is where they wanted to, because it doesn't have the ridership already currently to justify its currents.
So even though many of us are not riding the railroad, we're all paying for it.
Yep, you've been railroaded into paying for it, so to speak.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, Ron mentioned the figures. I think I think it's a $17 million operating budget that North Star has, and I think less than $6 million is spent. Now, Ron, you're the numbers guy. Is that a good investment for us?
No, it's not a good investment for the taxpayers.
But here's the thing. I mean,
it's great for the riders.
Yeah, but I mean,
so from that standpoint, yes, the people that are riding it are getting a great deal, even though it's too costly for them. That's why they had to reduce it, because they weren't getting enough people. So to reduce them, they lowered it 25 or 50 cents one way.
Yeah, I think it's $1 round trip. I think.
Yeah,
but you know, here's the thing. You know, these things aren't showing success in the way I would define it. Now, Hiawatha brags that they're meeting, quote, ridership projections, but they've lowered them year after year after year. We got $4 gas almost, and people still aren't taking this thing. Yet we're building the Central Corridor right now, which is just a mess.
$1.2 billion, isn't it?
$1.2 billion, right.
And it's not done yet, so that price is probably low.
It's 2 to 3 years from opening still. And you know, that's just for, what is that, 10 miles long? I mean,
and how many businesses did that put out of business? And will between now and then too. It's already put a number of businesses out. The streets, I know, I'm in downtown St. Paul right now. It's horrible. We're right, one of the buildings we're at, it comes right behind us at Cedar, and it's a disaster you don't know where the roads are going to be. The buses are rerouted all the time, and it's just a mess.